So, Sarah Joy O'Neill is an entrepreneur passionate about helping others to live alive. She currently owns and runs three businesses dedicated to empowering people to connect and express their inner fire into the world. Whether Sarah Joy is working one on one with a client, running her chiropractic clinic, or designing wearable art at Turtle Whale Designs, she is a catalyst for others to find their own full presence and aliveness in every moment. When she's not working, you can find her at the beach with her family or in the gym training for her next weightlifting competition. So please welcome the amazing Sarah Joy O'Neill.
Thanks, Charla. And I loved your presentation, Jai. Thank you. That's awesome. I'd forgotten what I'd written in the introduction, so that was fun to hear again. So I'm Sarah Joy O'Neill. I'm a transformative coach, chiropractor, and jewelry designer. Um, I wanted to start today. Oh, and I forgot to start the timer, and I'm saying this out loud so I will know. I'm looking at the time. Anyway, so I came across this little quote. It's a bit of a story this week, and it's really fresh for me in my talk is called The Peace We Already Have, and this kind of speaks to it. So I want to read it first. It's not very long. It's from a Jesuit mystic, priest, Anthony de Mello, who wrote very prolific. And it's called Don't Change. And it says, I was a neurotic for years. I was anxious and depressed and selfish. And everyone kept telling me to change. And everyone kept telling me how neurotic I was. And I resented them and agreed with them. And I wanted to change, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't bring myself to change, no matter how I tried. What hurt the most was that my best friend also kept telling me how neurotic I was. He too kept insisting that I change. And I agreed with him too, though I couldn't bring myself to resent him. And I felt so powerless and so trapped. Then one day he said to me, don't change. Stay as you are. It really doesn't matter whether you change or not. I love you just as you are. I cannot help loving you. Those words sounded like music to my ears. Don't change. Don't change. Don't change. I love you. And I relaxed and I came alive. And oh, wondrous marvel, I changed. I see that a lot in people I work with, where when we relax into life, we come alive. So I just wanted to read that because I just came across it a couple of days ago. So in 2016, I hit my head really hard twice, and I took myself pretty much right out of the game of life almost entirely. And in what was a years long chaotic nightmare, I found something really unexpected. I found pure bliss. And there's a quote from a author that I really like. His name's Sydney Banks. He's from Nanaimo, BC. And before that, he was from Scotland. And he said, we are all already enlightened. We just don't know that we are. And over the years, I'd heard that type of sentiment from many different teachers and authors. And I feel like Jesus had said something like that, and Buddha, and you kind of hear that around. And the first time I sort of heard that, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, if I was enlightened, I think this life would look different. Like, I'm a little neurotic and freaked out and anxious, and this is not enlightened. You don't know what you're talking about. But it kept coming back to me and wouldn't leave me alone. I was like, I kind of got curious about it. Like, what if they, what do they mean by that? And what if they actually know something? Like, these are actually enlightened, sort of like certified enlightened people who are saying this. And what if there's something to that? And I started to wonder, well, like, what if? What if that was true? And what would that look like if I knew that my neighbor was already enlightened and at peace while they're mowing their lawn or whatever? Or that my kid, when he's doing the thing he's doing that I'm grumpy about, what if he was already enlightened? How would I treat people differently? How would I see them differently? Uh, I got really curious about that. What if the only reason we weren't living in peace all the time was we just didn't know it was there? So I'm kind of cruising along, living my life. At that time in 2016, I actually had a bit of a problem with road rage. So when I think about life back then, I was like, I'm driving along, giving people the finger, yelling at people while I'm driving. That was really great. Um, and all of a sudden, driving along, doing my thing, whack, just really hit my head. And I remember for about 2 or 3 weeks, I was in a dark room by myself, no light, no sound, couldn't do anything. And I got to experience what life is like with a very, 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 very inflamed brain. And it doesn't work. Um, and all sensory information stopped being able to come in. And I got to experience, so we create the picture and the sound and the 3D reality. We create this for ourselves, a world to live in. And I literally stopped creating a reality for myself to live in because I couldn't do it. And so raw sensory information came in, and it's very chaotic, and sound was very loud and all over the place, and I couldn't tell where it was coming from. And I would constantly say things to my husband like, "What is that? Rah, 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 rah." And it sounds like there's a monster just like all over the place. And he would say, "What do you mean?" Kind of, describe it again. He would say, "Do you mean the neighbor's dog?" And once he identified it for me, I could kind of then go, "Oh, that's a neighbor's dog." It was like my brain was relearning everything and would sort of put it in a place, but it still sounded weird. And um, I remember I couldn't plan anything. I knew that I was laying in bed and I had to pee. And I could remember that there was a time when I knew what that meant and how to, there's a place called the bathroom. I don't know where it went. And so I remember as I got better, I was so proud that I could go to the bathroom by myself and I could figure out how to get out of bed. And everything was a relearning. Um, and I remember one day I was just in this, if I thought too much about how broken I was, it just got worse. And mm, it was just chaotic swirling. And I was in sort of a more of a panic one day laying in bed. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I literally felt like I dropped from the ceiling into my bed, except there was no bed, and it was a puddle of pure bliss. And it was just all-encompassing love. And it was all there was. And it lasted for kind of a long time and never actually really went anywhere, even though I was able to then layer, as I got better, I was able to take in sensory information again, able to be a person, speak. Um, I relearned emotions like a 2-year-old, which was really fun as a at that time, probably 45-year-old. But the peace that we all already have never left. And I got really curious about that because I didn't think I was particularly specialer than anybody else. And so I started asking people, and I asking people if they'd ever felt anything like that before themselves. And the question that it sort of evolved into was, um, have you ever, all of a sudden, for no reason, felt like everything was just going to work out? You just knew everything was going to be okay. Or sometimes I would ask, did you know, or have you ever felt a peace that came in all of a sudden out of nowhere? And I actually have it to put in the chat. So you can think, you can ask yourself this now for yourself. Have you ever felt anything like that in a moment of peace, maybe? It might be that time at the lake or in nature. And you can type it in the chat and we'll see. It might be just for a split second, for a moment. And I probably, over the course of a couple months, asked about 100 people. I was annoying with it. I asked people at the coffee shop, I asked people in my practice, I asked clients, I asked my family, I asked everybody. And I was surprised in that every single person I asked had an experience of that. They all knew what I was talking about. They all knew. And for some people, it was very fleeting. Some people, it was, like I said, at the lake. And everybody knew, but very quickly moved past it to, oh, but I need to blah, 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 focus on all these other things. Kind of like Jai was talking about, where we focus brings us, it's a bridge. And people think that they have to focus on whether it's the past or the problem or the negative, but we're all already at peace at our core. And I think if we knew that that was us, that is who we are, we would focus on that more and we would feel it more and it would serve us. And yeah, Sarah says yes, during worship at church, she feels that. Um, Someone else says yes, she knew something was going to work out despite circumstances. Mary says her peace comes deeply, knowing that she's loved by the Lord, which is wonderful. People know this. And so as I relearned how to create thought and thinking, it's a really odd experience having to relearn it. Um, I realized we layer that on top of the peace that we have. And we think that the thinking is us, or that it's important, or that we have to fix it, when really we don't. A lot of it just flows on by. And if something's an actual problem, it'll it'll be obvious. Um, I often look at what I call constants and variables. So the constant in our life is that peace, that knowing. And we don't notice it because it doesn't change. It is always there with us, alongside us, holding our hand. It is there for us every moment of every day, and we can access it at any time. And the variable, which is our thinking, is just, it's so up and down and all over the place and flashy. It gets our attention and it jerks us around essentially, and we think we have to give it attention. And when we can really, if we focus on the constant, kind of like the water we're always in life, it's much more calm and peaceful. And so I'm just looking at my little list of things I want to talk about. Oh, and yeah, and that brings me to a quote by another person I love, Ramana Maharishi. And he was a Indian, I guess, guru. And his quote that I love is, "Let what comes come, let what goes go, and see what remains." And so for me, all of what I thought was me left. All of what I thought was Sarah Joy O'Neill was gone in an instant. And what remained was bliss. And it can for others too, for you. So my invitation to you is to pay attention when you notice that peace, that calm coming in, even if it seems like out of nowhere, notice it, pay attention to it. That is you. And because I forgot to set my timer, I'm not quite sure where we are with time, Charla.
You've got 5 minutes still.
I have 5 minutes. Great. Which is what I want. It's around where I want it to be. I'm so excited. I'll put my website in the chat, and I suppose if anyone has any questions in the last 5 minutes, we can do that. So my business is Live Your Alive Life, and I'm just typing that now. And if I talk while I type, it won't go very well. Okay. That's my website. If you have questions, you can reach out to me there or find more information. And if you have questions, you can throw them up in the chat now. Or Charlotte can take it away.
Yeah, awesome.